I'm Mo Rocca, and I'm excited to announce Season 4 of my podcast, Mobituaries. I've got a whole new bunch of stories to share with you about the most fascinating people and things who are no longer with us. From famous figures who died on the very same day, to the things I wish would die, like buffets. All that and much more. Listen to Mobituaries with Mo Rocca wherever you get your podcasts.
Inspired by the life of the savvy and ambitious Colombian businesswoman Griselda Blanco comes a new Netflix original limited series. Griselda tells the story of a devoted mother who, with her lethal blend of charm and relentless savagery, creates one of the most powerful cartels in history. Witness Sofia Vergara's captivating transformation into the godmother of the underworld. Griselda, now streaming only on Netflix.
Burn again, burn again, burn again, ABCs. Welcome to the Bare Naked ABCs, where we discuss every Bare Naked Lady song from 7 to Y. And this week, we are covering Keeping It Real. These guys behind me are really trying to keep me on track. They're trying to keep it real for me. I have with me tonight Jeff, Aaron, and we do have Stefan back.
Hello, everyone. Woo!
And joining us tonight, fan favorite, is Erik Butterworth. Thank you for joining us, Erik.
Thanks for having me again. Hello, everyone.
Hi, Erik.
Hello.
Fan favorite?
I disagree with that. I highly doubt that.
I'm a fan.
I'm a fan. Yeah, you're our favorite.
I love your family's maple syrup, by the way.
It's corn syrup, but yeah,
it's no longer on the market.
We're not allowed to market it as maple.
Erik is in fact heir to the syrup fortune. Yes,
heir apparent to the Butterworth fortune.
Mrs. Butterworth.
What are you doing?
Is my mother.
Slumming it with a bunch of bums like us.
You just look so much alike. I couldn't quite.
But yes, it's not a video podcast, but Erik is actually made of a plastic bottle and he's full of syrup.
There's a splitting
Thank
image.
You for
really
clarifying
yes.
that.
That was my Norm Macdonald moments.
All right,
anyway.
All right. I'm going to pull the discussion back. I'm going to keep it real, guys. So if you haven't heard this song before, here's a quick snippet.
Wood's all soaking so the fire won't burn. Now I'd keep talking, but you never learn. The cut's too deep and so the wound won't heal. You won't keep nothing, you don't keep nothing by keeping it real.
And Aaron, I probably gave it away earlier when I sent you the snippet. Did you figure out what album is on?
This is off Grinning Streak, but I cannot take credit for knowing that because as soon as I clicked the link you sent
it's right on there. Yeah.
So I would like to think that I would guess it, but honestly, I might have confused this with Silver Ball, except for the fact that I've been hating on Silver Ball consistently. And I like this song, so I would like to think I would have thought Grinning Streak.
I was going to say that Tracy and I were talking before the show, and he's already predicted, Aaron, that you and I are going to like the song. So,
you are correct, sir. To quote Ed McMahon, you are correct, sir.
Yes! Well, let's discuss the song. Aaron, take it away. Give us some music breakdown.
All right, let's break it down.
Break it down.
This one was another exceptionally easy one, so I was super glad for that. It's been a crazy week at work. So Keepin' It Real was recorded at 65 beats per minute exactly. Recorded to a click track, you can tell. Nice and slow. That's a very slow song. BNL tends to be more up-tempo. We've had tracks, I believe, in the 200s as far as BPM is concerned. I mean, they're usually somewhere in the 120 to 160 range, I want to say, but... this is unusually slow, which is fitting given the subject material. We'll get into that, I'm sure. But it's in the key of F sharp minor, a bit of unusual as far as I know, at least as far as I remember. I don't often hear. I don't think songs from them in F sharp minor. This song is let me just describe it to you as succinctly as possible. F sharp minor to A to B. or F sharp minor to A, F sharp minor to B, F sharp minor, in one order or another. It mostly just sits in F sharp minor. Honestly, it's mostly one chord, but it's 3 chords for the entire song. So you have your F sharp minor, the tonic, A or 3rd degree, and then occasionally the B, which is the 4th degree, and then you turn around back to the tonic. And that's the entire song. It's the 3 chords. Now, many a classic blues and rock masterpiece has been written using 3 chords. Exhibit A, Louie Louie by the Kingsmen. All kinds of songs I can point to. And I myself have written a song that is, I believe, 2 chords. So, if it's good, it's good. That doesn't necessarily bear on the quality of the song. But interestingly enough, the verse and the chorus, the melody changes, the vocal melody, but really it's the same chords. It's just the same structure all the way through. So you have verse 1, chorus, verse 2, chorus, verse 3, chorus, another chorus, guitar solo, verse 4, 5, and 6 on the outro. But really it's all A. It's A. There's basically one repeating structure to it. There's one repeating chord progression. And it mostly, as I said, is parked in firmly in F sharp minor. It's very, very simple. I remember British comedian Bill Bailey describing the British national anthem as a funereal dirge once. Those were the words that sort of bubbled and percolated up into my mind as I was listening to this. But as you guys know, I am very morbid, and it appealed to me. Yes, I really enjoyed this tune.
Well, this song reminded me a lot of another song that has a very similar theme in terms of lyrics that we'll get to later on, written by this really obscure band called The Second Child.
Oh, wow.
And it is really cool, called Empathy. I mean, I could be wrong. It is about the same subject, is it not, Aaron?
Well, sort of. I mean, all of my songs are at least partially about death. That's pretty safe to say. But, wow, thank you. That's cool. I didn't expect you to go there.
The world is full of businessmen who sell you heaven in a can. The place to cross upon your head and tell you that your soul is dead. Follow me and you will see a world built on hypocrisy.
That was an awesome plug. That was really cool.
I'm going to put a little bit of it in right there.
Deep cut. Oh, wow, thank you.
But what I really like about it is what Ed does in this song. You did these. I was listening to it this week and it popped up. I'm like, oh my goodness, it's so amazing. What he did in this song, which he rarely does, you also did in that song, but in the exact opposite way, in that he has himself singing the melody high and then he does the harmony low. You on your song with Empathy did a low melody and a high harmony in the background, but doubled yourself in there.
Yeah. No, I didn't even think about that connection, but
I was listening to this week and I was like, oh my gosh, that's so amazing having to hear it.
I am really intrigued and I really want to hear this song. Where can we find it? I'm asking in all seriousness. That's not just a plug.
I need to. I'm working on getting the latest album, which even that was several years ago at this point. But I'm working on getting it more of a web presence and getting it on Spotify. Hopefully, you can find us on Spotify in the next year or so. That'd be cool. But Empathy would not be on that. But yeah, hopefully, I don't know. Maybe I can get like some older tracks on there as well. I'm sure Tracy could probably send it to you if he's got it. But yeah, it's
have it. I just got done talking about it. I heard this week.
Like you probably have more of my stuff than I do on my hard drive right now. Yeah, I just kill all my children, but no. Thank you.
That's one of the older
soap
that
was from the college days,
like soap operas, right? Like kill all my children. That was.
I was thinking like the Buddhist. You kill your teacher, you kill your God, you kill yourself, or whatever.
You just kill your children.
self-annihilation or annihilation of the ego or whatever. No, but that's really, I guess that probably explains a lot about why the song appeals to me. You're right, because I do tend to, especially back in those days, I would write, I came from an electronic music background, so there was a lot of like repetition and groove and like minimalism and kind of adding and subtracting elements. And as I transitioned more and more into rock, I added like guitars and kind of the rock ambiance and sound, but I kept some of that sensibility. So yeah, that's I never even thought of that, Tracy. But yeah, thank you very much. It's I don't want this to become the second child podcast here. But.
Well, and your song also includes a lot of distortion in the song, and that's another thing that's a lot, not on just this album, but on this song particularly. There is a lot of distortion, and Jim with the distortion on the bass is one of the key elements on this song.
Well, it's interesting because it starts out with this acoustic guitar, but it might be like an acoustic electric, and they put a little crackle behind it or whatever. Certainly, the guitar solo is definitely like all the way out there. There's a very much like Delta blues, southern rock feel to some of it. It kind of reminded me of "Bad Things" by Jace Everett, which is from the intro to what was it, True Blood. If you haven't seen that show or heard that song, great song. I love that kind of that whole thing appeals to me a lot. That whole aesthetic. It also reminded me of. Have you guys ever heard the folk song "Oh Death"?
No.
It's been covered by like a million people. It's an old folk song, and I think the original title was like a really long string, like "Oh Death," a conversation between a sinner and God, or a sinner and the devil.
I do think I know what you're talking about here.
Being a video game aficionado, there's a game called Until Dawn. And it starts out, Until Dawn starts out with the song "Oh Death" and a really weird and kind of beautiful cover. And I just posted that in the chat, Tracy. But yeah, this whole thing kind of reminded me of that because that song also is very much like, again, it's that folk song structure where it's not really verse, chorus, verse. It's just kind of the same repeating series of chords. And then maybe the singer might do something different here or there. But more or less, it's just kind of continuing on and on and on. But yeah, I don't know. Something about this song really struck a chord with me.
You mean
and,
three?
Yeah, it struck three chords with me, but mostly one, mostly just F sharp minor. But no, it's I don't know. I really enjoyed it. The instrumentation is the quality of the recording is very crisp, and it's bright in places, but it's muddy in others. But like it all kind of comes together to make this nice like wall of sound. And it's so stark, and it's so, I don't know, it fits in with the apparent themes of the lyrics really well. So I always love when the music and the lyrics gel together really well and kind of give the same impression.
That's where I heard the song, by the way, is from Until Dawn. I'm glad you mentioned that. Because I love that game, and you should follow Graham Resnick on Twitter, the writer of Until Dawn. Amazing nice guy. Yes, very gracious, and yeah. Anyway, but that's where I knew the song from. So thanks.
But
that's a great song.
We haven't heard much from our guest tonight. Eric, what are your thoughts on this song? You specifically wanted to come on to talk about this song, and we haven't let you talk.
Well, I was waiting because Aaron's always got so much to say. And it's always...
Apologies all around.
No, I like the song for the musicality of it I always like when they put in fuzzy guitars and bring in, some of his their more distorted sounds, which kind of interesting. Much like Aaron was saying, I can't repeat the bands or songs that he claimed because I don't know them, so they're in one ear out the other. But I do hear, you can hear a lot of Ed's folksy, bluesy, country kind of background in this one, tagging in with that more rock fuzz distorted tones. And there's a local Alberta band called Corblund and the Hurtin' Albertans, although they might just be the Corblund band now. I'm not sure if I know there was the name change at some point there, but they've got a album that they put out quite a while ago called or Cabin Fever. First song called Getting Down on the Mountain has, as every time I've heard this, I hear that as well, because it's got, fuzzy, distorted electric mixed in with a big double bass and mixed in with acoustic guitars, and the drums are similar. They're not the same. I like Tyler's drums in this with I call it trashy guitar drums. That kind of sound that it's almost like getting distorted drums, which I quite like.
No. Yeah, it's very, very fuzzy.
I would suggest if anyone wants to go check out the Corblund song, it's kind of a similar sound, which is just really neat to hear that coming out of BNL as well.
So what you're saying is that it sounds like fake drums on a song called Keepin' It Real.
I didn't say fake. I just said that I call them trash drum kits because they don't sound like, some finely honed, perfectly tuned drums. They just have fuzziness to them.
Yeah.
Erik, I don't want to interrupt you, but I just I can't. I'm a music nerd, so when I have an opportunity, I have to jump in.
Please do.
When you said trash drums, I believe his name is Ben Clapp. There's a drummer I knew or know very, very tenuously from a band called Skeleton Key, and that band watching them is like performance art as well as music. They have a drummer who plays a regular drum set in concerts, and then they also have Ben, and he comes out with this crazy set made of literal trash and scrap metal, and he'll just bang on these sheet metal, and he takes that an angle grinder and just shoots sparks all over the place. It's incredible. Yeah. So when someone says trash drums, I think of that, and it's just they're so great. So plug for my friends at Skeleton Key if you guys want to check it out.
Stomp is also a really good band that uses all kinds of different equipment to make noises. And
this episode is brought to you by the Second Child Music Circle, by the way. I should. Ben Clack, come on the show.
Aaron had put Stefan to sleep earlier, so I'm glad he finally woke up. Stefan, what are your thoughts on the music of this song?
Glad to have you.
Believe it or not, I like the song. It's got a regular rhythmic beat, and that for someone with autism, that's a great thing. And it's regular. It sounds pretty cool, It's got a bluesy feel to it, I think. I don't know much about music, but to me, it's possibly kind of like that, kind of like a nice rock thing. I don't know what it sounds like, but it sounds pretty cool. I like it. That's all I have to say about that.
All right. I like the distorted voice that Ed decides to go with it at some points during the song. It's kind of interesting, but it's interesting. We keep talking about all these distortions with the drums, the bass, the voice on a song called Keepin' It Real. I mean, it's like he's keeping it real, but he's kind of pushing the envelope there with the realism.
Well, sometimes being real means being harsh.
Oh, he's harsh in this song.
Well, and I think that's the word painting of it, because he is basically saying that his beliefs and what he's trying to say to people gets him into trouble, and I think that whole keeping it real idea, because he's talking about a very sensitive subject here and something that a lot of people don't want to hear or don't believe in, and I think that's why. I like the distortion most of the time. I didn't quite like it as much at the end. I thought that was a little bit.
Really?
Yeah, I actually. Surprisingly, I know this is going to be an unpopular opinion, but the distortion at the end, I kind of liked where the clarity was for most of the song.
Do you mean the vocal distortion or the musical distortion?
Like the last three repeated verses. It's hard to make out what he's saying.
I think they went a little too heavy on it for a song where what he's saying is very important to him in the song. I mean, he's definitely.
I will say I didn't know those last three bits were in this song until today.
Right.
Yeah, it's very easy to miss. It's very buried in the mix.
I never read this when I first got it. I never read the liner notes, so I just listened to the music and learned the lyrics.
Now, are the lyrics at the end different? Does it say are the lyrics at the end different there? Because
they seem to match with the liner note lyrics. Seem to match what's underneath the music in the end there.
But musically, for me, this is I think where I was kind of back and forth, and we can talk about this as we go on. But this one really had me divided for a while. But the music I at first did, I think, struggle with a little bit because I think it is the simplicity of it. We really have to get Aaron a more complicated song next week because this is driving me up the wall.
No.
Okay, you know what? Got it.
More of this is
okay.
Great.
All right, good.
Done.
But yeah, I mean, now we've said the song is bluesy, and that's what I thought too. It feels like a very dirty bluesy song, and Lyrically, I love the song, and we'll talk about that. But the as I listen to it more and more, because I haven't really listened to Grinning Streak a whole lot. As I listened to it more and more, the music definitely did grow on me. And I like the driving blues, and I like the feel of this. Jim's bass in this song is fire. Absolutely amazing bass in the song. Yeah.
I should have mentioned that.
No problem.
Thank you.
But yeah, I think that's all I had for the music. Not really a hook, though, which was kind of weird to me. I also kind of like when BNL gets a really solid hook. And like Aaron mentioned, this is pretty much an A song. There's no really... The chorus is still kind of messy.
Yeah. I will say, Jeff, that I like the fact that in the chorus, it sort of reverses, because he's going kind of like from a mid-range down a little low during the verses, then back up, and then he jumps up in the chorus, and that kind of helps differentiate. It gives it a little extra
And the
energy.
solid harmonies that jump in, too, also give it that,
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But it's not necessarily as catchy as some other... It's no Enid in that sense, yeah.
And I think I've mentioned in previous episodes that I've been on that when Ed does those things, when he pushes his vocal ranges into his higher registers, because I think he falls into a baritone tenor range.
High baritone, yeah.
And when he's pushing his higher end, I love when he does that. It's got a certain amount of...
Yeah, it's got a great quality to it.
Even if it's not forceful or powerful, it still has a certain power to it, I feel like.
There's an emotional resonance that comes from that. I totally agree.
And I like the way that he balanced that off also with that deep voice on the other end of it. Like he was hitting the lowest part of his register most likely there, and really blended those two sounds beautifully in the song.
Are we discussing the Persuasions one later?
Well, we can, or we can get to it now, I guess, before we get to lyrics.
I was just going to mention with the deep tones in there, having
bringing a real bass in.
I don't. It's Cliff, or I forget what his name is. Cliff's the baritone. No, Cliff's the one the higher one. Sorry,
it's the one that died a couple of years ago.
Yeah, shortly. He absolutely just brings those low ends in just so fantastically.
Jimmy Bro bass man.
Gosh, straight on the tongue.
I had it memorized. One of the things that we haven't mentioned yet, and I'm surprised that you guys didn't mention, was
Aaron.
The outro with that really solid guitar solo outro that's going on. To me, had a very Helter Skelter feel.
Yeah, I could hear that.
Yeah.
You know, whoever was playing it, I'm guessing it was probably Kevin. Because in the live concerts, that's who we see playing it is Kevin. But
that's what I was going to say. From every video I've seen, even the one with the Persuasions recording, Ed's on acoustic and Kev's on electric.
Yeah,
I did have a note on here about the outro, and it got mixed in with my lyrics, so I apologize. But yes, sorry. It is on. Yeah, I know, right? I need to organize my notes better.
Well, why don't we talk for a moment about the Persuasions version before we talk about the lyrics? Because I think the Persuasions version is more musically different, and that's where we can discuss more of the differences, if there really are any, with the Persuasions version. Anyone have any thoughts? I have my own thoughts, but I'll come last.
I was curious to see if Aaron had any information as to whether or not the Persuasions one is different at all, form-wise.
I don't think I sent it to him.
That's a great question. I'll answer that in several minutes.
That's unfortunate.
I was going to say, I don't think we had the Persuasions version before coming into this interview.
Oh, no.
You didn't, Jeff?
No, I didn't. No, I haven't heard it. So I have nothing.
Oh, my goodness.
I have not heard it, so I have nothing to say on it.
Oh, my goodness.
Tracy's sending his troops to battle unprepared.
Yes,
that's about
every damn day, Eric.
How much can I throw these guys under?
100, man. There's like 1,000 here. What the? If you send it now, I can listen. Where's it?
I'm working on it.
I would love to be able to talk about this.
Jeez, you could always Google it.
I am Googling it right now.
Interestingly enough, if I type in YouTube music, BNL, Keepin It Real, the Persuasions one comes up first.
No, that didn't happen to me, though.
But you know what I typed in all week was Keepin It Real every time I was researching it, and all that kept coming up for me was Shaggy.
Yes. It likes to bring that.
There.
You have to throw BNL in.
Yeah. Otherwise, Shaggy is all you get.
Which I did not listen to that one, so I can't comment here.
Eric, what are your thoughts on the Persuasion
There we go.
version?
That question was
honestly,
answered.
I'm a big fan of it. I think out of the two, I do prefer the Persuasions one more. Not because I dislike anything about the studio one more. Just I love having the sheer number. Like there's 10 guys on that track. There's not just the 4. As soon as you add another 6 people into the track, you're gonna have a lot more depth to the recording, and I do like that. And honestly, I like the bass vocals all throughout any of the Persuasions tracks. So honestly, I like the depth that the acapella group brings to it.
So listening. Sorry, I was just going to say, listening to it now, it seems like the form and everything is more or less the same, but it's just filled out so much more with additional harmonies. And I really like the rhythmic breathing stuff, the whoo.
Yeah.
That's like, it really adds something to it. It's interesting because the first time I was thinking about this, I was like, is this kind of like a folk song, or is it more like, it almost has like that spiritual feel to a certain extent. I think that those extra vocal additions really really drive that home, and it really makes it connect with more of the classic blues and a lot of like, I don't know. It's just if anything, it makes me like the song even more hearing that version. So I might have to bump it up a decimal point.
Interestingly enough,
I like that version better.
What was that, Eric?
When I first started listening to this song, that was when Grinning Streak came out.
Yeah.
I kind of, in my head, descriptors that would come up for describing this song would be, like kind of a survivalist, primal sort of feel, which is also where I'm getting ties to that Corb Lund song that I actually linked to Tracy and Messenger. But
we put it in right there.
Yeah, I get those feelings out of that, but when the like you say, the hoo ha bits come in, it's got that even more like tribal, primal, like it just brings in that survivalist feeling to it a little.
It gave me goosebumps a little bit.
I was just gonna say the same thing because I when I heard that part too, because I really like acapella music, and I know that's kind of like the redheaded stepchild of music, but I do love acapella music, and the fact that they often use vocals to be the rhythm and the percussion. And when those ooh ah start, I'm like, oh yes,
it's really nice.
Definitely a better version of this song, I think, easily.
But if they come at me, then they better all run. 'Cause the wood's all talking, so the fire won't burn. Now I keep talking, but you never learn. The cut's too deep, and so the wound won't heal. You won't keep nothing, you don't keep nothing by keeping it real.
So the producers who are working on the Last of Us show at HBO, we know you listen. You better put the song in that show because that would be perfect.
Yes.
Please come on the show.
If you got the Last of Us team on here, this would be a 7-hour interview, by the way. Because that's my jam right there.
A lot of great music in that game too.
Yeah, but the Persuasions version, man, then like you were saying, that bass, it didn't need that bass on there. That just gives it that rumble that just perfect.
And it's not even where the bass line, it's not even where the bass singer takes his own spotlight, but even just when he's underneath of Ed's vocals,
it's right where it needs to be.
It just adds so much.
Yes.
Yeah.
It gives it a depth.
That's what I meant. So when Ed does it in the studio version, Ed does a great job. But when you bring in an actual bass,
I've gotten nailed for that myself because I do try. My last song was actually an a cappella song, and people pointed that out pretty quickly that it had to be mixed because I'm not a bass. So they're like, you have to mix this or bring in a bass. So I get that too. You need a real bass vocal to get that, power.
I'm getting goosebumps because I just got this image in my head of when I hear that song, especially the Persuasions version, of Sisyphus rolling the boulder up the hill.
Yep.
And that fits in with the lyrics, in my opinion, so well. So well.
That's very well. I love that, yeah.
Well, why don't we discuss the lyrics?
We are a deep podcast. I don't think people realize that.
What do you guys
poetic.
think? Ed wrote this song on one car drive to his cottage. He wrote it entirely during that time, the rhymes and everything. He didn't have an instrument to play during the ride, but he had everything all lined up, one couplet after another. By the time he got to the end, he actually wrote 5 or 6 verses to this song and recorded it on his iPhone, but we only have what remains.
Well, there's 6 verses here.
What? Well, yeah, AA. Well, yeah, if we count up AA, yeah.
If you count the last, if you count the last 3 and the very, very low distorted vocals over the outro, then there's 6 verses.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Sorry, should I not be? I don't know.
Yeah, it sounds to me like what you're saying though is he had additional verses that got cut. That like he had to kill. He had to kill.
Maybe
basically.
That's what he was saying on. Yeah.
I would have listened to this for another 3 minutes. So
Leonard Cohen wrote like 30 verses for Hallelujah.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
would you tell a sunset that it couldn't last forever?
This is from the guy who just mentioned Sisyphus. So.
Oh, I'm getting there. Don't worry. Wait, okay, hold on.
Okay,
I got the perfect segue into the lyrics. Right. Okay. I mentioned Bill Bailey earlier, and Bill Bailey, one of my favorite British comedians, he once began one of his shows by coming out and saying to the audience, of course, the universe is gradually slowing down and will eventually collapse inwardly on itself, according to the laws of entropy, when all its thermal and mechanical functions fail, thus rendering all human endeavors ultimately pointless. Just to put the gig in some sort of context.
Well, let's put this song in context. What's the song about, guys?
It's what I just said.
It's going to be a tricky one to talk about, honestly.
It's the existential...
okay,
so in my opinion, it's about the existential quandary. Yes, memento mori, you will die. We will all die, no matter what we do. And what really fascinated me, guys, was when I was reading the lyrics to this, I thought to myself, wait, is Ed an atheist?
Yes, he is.
I thought the same thing, right? Yeah.
And I didn't know that. I Googled it. I found a bunch of quotes. He described himself at least once as an agnostic, but he's also described himself as an atheist. He said he made a joke. He's like, I'm an atheist, but I watch TV religiously or something. But like he really does seem to be. And I know he's very fascinated with science. So that to me was the flag right there, where I said, okay, this is definitely about everything that you do. Eventually, you are going to die. There's nothing you can really do about it. Now, the interesting thing to me is you have a lot of like. People who are maybe not necessarily religious or spiritual, but they still try and keep like a positive outlook, will say things like, well, if you live a life that is pure and a life full of intent, and if you go and be your true self and your best self, then that's worth living. Yeah, sure, but you're still going to die. And that's why when he says, what is he? It's in the chorus.
You won't keep nothing?
It's like the last two.
You don't keep nothing.
Yeah, you won't keep nothing by keeping it real. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Uh-huh. You can't take it with you, right? So it's very interesting. And the reason I mentioned Sisyphus in particular is because philosophically, I have a bad case of Sisyphus.
There's
I talked to my doctor, but the reason I bring it up is if somebody asked me what my philosophy was or what I believed, I wouldn't just say I'm an atheist, because that's not really a philosophy. That's just an absence of one particular belief.
But that's what you feel the song is about? Is atheism? Or?
Well, it's about death, but I think Ed's outlook kind of colors it a bit, because we all view death differently, of course, with our beliefs. I would describe myself as an absurdist, and when I read,
I could agree.
Yeah, I know. I figured you would. When I read The Myth of Sisyphus by Camus, it really struck a chord with me. And, there's been a bunch of different philosophers who had this take on, well, if there is no God or if there is no afterlife, is there any meaning inherent to life? And different philosophers have had different kind of suggestions to this. And there are ones like Kierkegaard who are like, well, this is our fate to suffer. And then there are ones more like Sartre who tried to see it a little more poetically, like we are the authors of our own stories and our own existence. But then there was Camus who said, look, even if it is ultimately futile and pointless, in this moment, you are defining yourself by your actions. So Sisyphus is heroic in that he continues to strive even though he knows it's pointless. Not even in spite of it, but because he knows it's pointless and continues to strive. The application of his will is where he finds the meaning, which I find beautiful. So that, I don't know, this could be, again, this is probably colored, I'm sure, by my own beliefs, and I'd be very curious to hear what your guys' take on it with. But I'll leave with one last point here, and then mute myself for a while. The lyric, long tooth, time is marching as I sing, just cut me down the middle and count my rings. It made me think of Hitchcock's Vertigo. There's this scene in the woods where she's like, here I was born and there I died. It was only a moment for you. You took no notice. And they're looking at the cross section of the huge redwood. And like, it shows like this was like the Battle of Hastings and this was like Declaration of Independence and stuff like that. And it shows like this organism lived for so long and it just dwarfs a human life scale. And it's still like, well, this, even this organism which lived for hundreds of years, geographically or geologically, I should say, or cosmologically, certainly, is just a blip. It's the blink of an eye. So I'll take my answer offline. Thank you, first time caller, long time listener.
Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
I have to say though that line really bothered me though, because you don't cut the tree down the middle.
If you cut the middle this way.
I mean, you might count it in the middle, right. Vertically.
Across the middle.
Vertically, yeah.
But that's not the middle. That's the bottom.
The horizontal middle cut.
Cut is horizontal, but you might cut it in the middle. Horizontal middle.
You don't do a horizontal middle cut. You do a horizontal bottom cut. You don't middle. No, that's not how you. Someone that has come from the lumbering industry. No,
I think in this case,
the bottom to count the rings.
So, by the way, long-time listeners, this is the "Have you seen my little girl" of tonight's episode, and probably the trouble with Tracy.
Yeah, it's about one stupid little line.
It's probably okay in this case because we're not actually talking about a tree. We're talking about the narrator.
We're cutting him in half.
You're going to cut him in half?
Across the middle, Tracy. You keep doing an up and down motion at side to side.
Well, okay. Wasn't there a thing in Middle Ages where they would?
Well, he says
metaphorically, Tracy. We're metaphorically cutting him in half. Okay.
There's too much metaphor.
Yeah, but like they used to like read people's. Okay, didn't they like?
Oh, there you go. If you lay him down like he's on a magician's table, it's down the middle.
Didn't they like read people's entrails? Thank you.
All right.
Agreed. Ed, please come on the show. We know you want. Watch? You listen.
No, Ed is watching.
Ed's always watching us.
He is watching.
So how do you feel that the chorus blends in with the whole ecclesiastical theme of this song? Because it seems like just from
set us straight, we don't know who's right.
Ecclesiastes is a book in the Old Testament regarding that life is rather pointless. That's
the famous a time to live, a time to die is in Ecclesiastes.
From the birds, yes,
right,
but they took that from that.
No, they stole that from
book,
Ecclesiastes. Yes. They totally ripped that off.
So it's kind of basically
much like Shakespeare ripped off West Side Story.
Yes, in that order, West Side Story came out before Shakespeare.
So you're telling me that birds that fly in the sky stole their song from?
Anyway.
I do. To answer your question, I do think the chorus goes with it. So if we're gonna get philosophical, Aaron, I am probably described as what you would call a secular humanist. I do read a lot of Paul Kurtz and Vonnegut, so I'm a secular humanist. So yes, so that's, to me, this song really hit that point for me too, in a sense that without getting into the spiritual side of things, it really sounds like what he's trying to sell. I do love the fact that the chorus ends on that line. You won't keep nothing. You don't keep nothing by keeping it real. He does the "you can't take it with you" line with it too. He sums it up in the third verse, but he basically is trying to point to the fact that, don't spend so much time looking forward. Don't spend all your time looking forward to what's coming next, because you die naked, they burn up your bones. It's a dark line. It's a really dark, slap you in the face line. I do like that in my music. I like that kind of reference, but I think where he kind of gets to the end, basically with what's the point in wishing there was somewhere to go, if when you get there, you can't let anyone know. And I just feel like that's an afterlife rhyme. He's basically saying, you're spending all this time talking about heaven or whatever, when you can't let anybody know that it even exists, that you're even there. When my time comes, I won't be leaving this earth. And I think that's the line that pretty much sells the atheism of the song right there. And what I've done for people will determine my worth. I like that because it does put a positive spin on a song that's going to hit a lot of people the wrong way.
He hits the stop right there at that moment.
Oh, yeah. I mean, boom. He just boom, this is what, and that's kind of the secular humanism of it, which is your life was based on what you did while you were alive. I mean, what the things that you did, the people you touched, that determines, the worth of it there too. I do feel like that does put the hopeful spin on it too, in a song that a lot of people might see as a dark song. I don't see this as a dark song at all.
I'm right with you, Jeff. I'm usually in that seat that you're in for every song that you guys ever say. This is a dark song. I'm like, what? It's hopeful.
It's dark, potentially dark subject material, but the actual outcome being presented or the opinion is not necessarily dark.
I think a lot of people would have a hard time listening to this one if they have a certain belief structure, and I get that, but I think that's what he's trying to say is that in the belief structure they have, because a lot of people that are atheist or secular humanist or absurdist, as you will, chaotic, get that bad rep because they're like, but that's a hopeless way of thinking. You're not thinking hopeful. And I've always tried to tell people that's not the case. Like, it's not a hopeless way of looking at life. You're basically just saying, I want my life to be what it is here right now, and I'm going to do the best I can with it.
So what's the first verse mean? Because I'm having a hard time with that.
I'd imagine that sticking your head in the ground is much like an ostrich.
Like, is he saying,
kind of denying it all, and
I've kind of viewed it as the whole song is largely not necessarily atheist, but agnostic atheist at the least. That, I mean, I used to say for years and years, I'm an atheist, but it came to my attention in the last couple of years. I was like, oh, not actually, because I think the actual definition of an atheist is a hardline stance. There is no God. And I found that there's apparently sub-genres along the spectrum where an agnostic atheist, it would be someone more like me who says, I mean, no, I don't know for sure that there isn't, but I've got no reason to think there is. So for that line, I fall under the atheistic side, but I'm agnostic in that, I mean, I don't know. I'm not.
You don't know.
I don't know the entire universe. I don't know everything.
I don't think it's possible. It's not really possible for anyone to know. I think most people who describe themselves as atheists, there's like a scale of 0 to 10. 0 being the absolute believe in God, unwavering, 10 being the absolute non-belief. There is no God. It's not possible. I think most of them would find themselves to be like an 8 or so, and that's what I would call it, like a de facto atheist. There's no reason, I'm open to any possibility, right? But I've seen nothing that persuades me.
And so when I look at that,
controversial line, but aren't we all really technically agnostic?
Well, I was just going to say,
that's totally, that line's totally getting cut from the show, but right, yeah.
Well, we're all atheists. I would wager, okay, not to get controversial, not to get...
Because it's a matter of what you know, and people who are level 10, as Aaron says.
It's kind of like grouping all the different beliefs into one pocket.
Not to get controversial, but I would wager that every single one of us here is an atheist in regards to Odin. I don't think any of us are believing that Odin is real.
Now, wait a minute.
Just to put it in perspective.
I practice his sin every day.
It is Odin's Day today. Ricky Gervais line?
It is Odin's today. Wednesday is Odin's Day, and then Thursday
People get that story confused, though. But that's a whole other podcast.
Not Onanism, Odinism.
Oh, not Onanism.
What if you worship Thanos?
That's something completely different.
Thanosism? I really like to do.
We are so off the rails.
do you want us to bring it back, Tracy?
I'm trying to
keep us.
I think Eric was about to make a point there.
Okay, let's let Eric talk.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm happy to talk about anything, but if we're discussing the first line from an atheistic viewpoint, you would view people who are, from an atheistic point. you can look at death and say, I mean, that's it. That's all there is. You can either be afraid of it or not.
Mm-hmm.
And people who are afraid of that, but subscribe to some form of religious afterlife, period, an atheist will view that as putting your face in the ground. Like, you're hiding from the fact that you're just going to die one day, because my understanding is once you're dead, you're dead. That's it. That's all she wrote. So for you to say, well, no, there's an afterlife, that's a form of sticking your head in the ground.
I would certainly like to believe there was, but since I don't know, I have to assume this is all I get, and I want to experience as much as I can in this life.
Yeah.
So memento mori to me is not a depressing thing. Remember, you will die. It's like, hey, take advantage, smell the roses while you can. It's very much like a Dead Poets Society. Seize the day. Yes, precisely. or as Hunter.
All right. Well, what's that next line mean? And when nobody's watching, they can tear it all down.
I kind of thought of it as like the argument. I kind of viewed it as the argument that he's making, that there is no afterlife, that there is just today. You know, the whole idea that when nobody's around, they're going to tear that argument down. That's how I interpret it. Like, basically, the realism of what he's saying is what people don't necessarily want to look at, that maybe there is just today.
That's a good point. I was thinking just from an entropy perspective, like everything will eventually be all torn down just by, time or whatnot, entropy. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no.
Time wears all things.
Yeah.
We're kind of discussing a little bit of religion, but this isn't necessarily religion, but I do keep up with a number of different beliefs that are, I don't label them as agnostic or atheist or whatnot, but there's real things that go on within our lives that are unexplainable, even outside of religion. And having out-of-body experiences through meditation and through possible things such as DMT and ayahuasca, stuff of that nature. But there's a gentleman named Tom Campbell, and he is a researcher, and he's worked for a number of large national aeronautics companies doing research on stuff. And one of the things that he's believing is that there's a virtual reality element to what we've got going on right now. And I forgot what I was trying to say. The point of our lives is to lower the entropy within our lives and within other people's lives. And our decision making depends on whether we want to increase the entropy of it or lower the entropy of it. So whether
it's interesting,
exacerbate a situation or do you reduce it and create harmony within others.
It's an interesting point, Stefan, because as conscious actors, we are one of few things we know of that can potentially decrease empathy instead of increasing it, or entropy instead of increasing it. So, that's an interesting take. I believe in, you were talking about, unexplainable happenstances. I'm a big proponent of synchronicity. The idea that
great Police album.
It's a fantastic album and song, but I'm referring to Carl Jung's theory of synchronicity, where things are connected. It sort of ties in with chaos theory. Things are more connected than we think they are, and one little thing could change, and your entire life or someone else's that you don't even know could have taken a completely different path.
Is this the butterfly effect?
I was going to say that.
Just so everyone knows, I am not as learned as these gentlemen.
If a butterfly flaps its wings, and this episode's a 3-parter, isn't it?
But no, the butterfly effect would be a great example of synchronicity. This is why I was really looking forward to this conversation, because I knew this would be a really good conversation with this song here. So just to one more thing I wanted to say, as far as I wanted to quote Hunter S. Thompson, just about living your life.
Who haven't we quoted?
So he said, life should not be a journey to the grave with the intention of arriving safely in a pretty and well-preserved body, but rather to skid in broadside in a cloud of smoke, thoroughly used up, totally worn out, and loudly proclaiming, wow, what a ride.
Well,
I like that.
Yeah, me too.
So I have a question for you guys. With the chorus, like, even people that have tried to break this down, Song Meetings, Genius, all these other places, the chorus throws everyone. They're like, what the hell is he trying to say here? So maybe someone can bring some clarity, because I know I can.
I will.
I get the metaphors, and I understand, like, if wood is soaked, you can't burn it. Yeah, but what's that metaphor he's making?
Well,
the cut's too deep, so the wound won't heal. Right? Yeah. But what's the cut?
So we
What's
think
the
of lighting the torch and the passing of knowledge. If the wood is soaked, then it won't burn, and you're not able to. So if somebody is not receptive to what you want to say, and refusing to really hear you out and listen to you, there is no way that you can teach them or educate them about something if they are being willfully ignorant.
Or make them passionate about it, like the fire.
That would fall in the I keep talking, I'd keep talking, but you never learn.
Exactly, yeah.
That's where you mind your own business and let them fend for themselves. At the end of the, at the end, when you're on your deathbed, I've never heard anybody say, man, I really wish I talked some sense in that guy. No, they think about their own lives and their own journeys. And they think about the regrets that they've had and the decisions that they've made. And usually it's not like, man, I really wish I had more of a vendetta against a person, or I wish I really scratched the hell out of the side of their car with my key. They don't think anything of those things. They think of...
I would hope not.
Right, because they think they seem small at that point.
Being with their family and loving people more. And, you can do what you can only do. And everybody's on their own journey. And their own outcome is a direct result of your own self.
So speaking of journeys, I have had quite a journey with this song myself.
Faithfully?
Being a devout Christian, yeah. It's
a journey.
And person that grew up Catholic, like, this is a very hard-hitting song. Like, there's some pretty rough lines in this, and I think he's trying to slap people into attention. But it feels like an attack, and the music of the song feels like an attack. And for a long time, I hated this song because it felt like it was trying to attack. With statements like, everyone who sees it puts their face in the ground. Like, it feels like he's directly insulting. Over time, and listening to it more, I've come to see this less as attack on religion, more than an attack on people who are so devoutly religious themselves that they're not able to have a conversation about it and be open-minded about it.
Well, let me just say...
So, like, that goes to that line of, but if they come at me, then they better all...
I don't think...
I have a statement about that, too. Oh, sorry.
I'll go real quick. I don't think this is... Well, I don't think it's an attack in general. I think maybe there's a bit of bitterness there, because when you try and talk about this, some people can get very defensive. But I do think, Tracy, it's not even just religious people. It's anyone who is ignoring the reality of the brevity of our life, how short our time here is, and how they should cherish that and value that. And that's why I think he says, by keeping it real, it's not like you don't keep anything. That doesn't make... He's saying, just because I don't believe in this, that doesn't make me any better. I'm just facing this head on. And regardless of what you believe happens afterwards, I would encourage you to do the same thing. Face it head on and just know, like, whatever happens, I want to be a good person in this life, an honest person in this life. I'm not doing it because I think it's going to gain me anything, but this is all I have.
I could see how it could sound like an attack, for sure. I would view it more as almost an aggressive defense from the other side. Yes. Because a lot of times I've had conversations with people who are hugely religious, and I'm not up on denominations, so I don't know what they are, but they're one of the more outer fringe, in my opinion, of Christianity. But the guy was pretty much saying that I could not possibly be a moral person or anything else because I don't have any God in my life or anything. So, like, well, there's nothing stopping you from murdering people. And I'm like, well, no, there's
nothing stopping them either.
But that's a very offensive tactic.
Sometimes, as that atheistic viewpoint, you sometimes feel not persecuted or attacked by religious people, but almost as though you're judged by. And so it's kind of like,
and
it's almost an aggressive defense of this is how I feel about, where I think I'm headed. And it might be a little aggressive from past experiences, but I don't view it as an attack.
Understandable.
Well, and I think And I think you're right. I think that's where I finally came to is it's not an attack on people. It's an aggressive defense. It's kind of saying like, back off, like stop trying to press your thoughts on me. Like, let me have my thoughts. You have your thoughts. It's all cool. Like,
but if you do press on me,
right,
I'll go toe to toe with you. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And I'm okay with that. I mean, I'm still not like a huge fan of the song, but I'm okay with that message, and I get what he's trying to say, because that line, friend or foe, I can be either one. Yeah, like, and to some extent, that's a huge thing, and that's the point of view that I've taken personally with my own spirituality. Is like, so I have my beliefs, other people have theirs. I would love having these types of conversations, as Aaron and I and Stephanie and I have had many times in the past. That's not an argument, it's a conversation. And that's what he's saying. Like, I can be a friend or foe, you choose. Are you going to press your beliefs on me, or are we going to have a discussion?
Right.
Yeah.
I was pretty much going to say the same. They covered the bases there too, but yeah, I was going to say I didn't see it as an attack either, because as myself an atheist, and a lot of times all you have to do is say those words, I'm an atheist, and it's literally all the reasons why you're wrong, why you shouldn't be.
It's triggering to some people.
That one word is a trigger, and like you said, it's like right off the bat, oh, you must have no morals. You must have. I'm like, really? I held the door for 4 people today because I'm not an asshole.
Right.
Like,
I just don't do mean things because doing mean things makes me feel bad.
Yeah, it's empathy.
Right. I try to be nice to people because I think it's the right thing to do, not because of any other reason or spiritual or anything. And
me being nice is entirely self-serving.
A lot.
Yeah.
It's not out of any fear of not getting an afterlife. It's not out of any fear of repercussions for my greater benefit. It's just self-serving. I feel better if I'm nicer.
Sometimes
I don't think people need to be told thou shalt not kill, because I think we just kind of know that.
Well, sometimes believing in a God doesn't necessarily, or believing in the God doesn't necessarily mean that you have to believe in religious doctrines in that as well. True. Because I mean, from my own life, I mean, there's a lot of things that are really unexplainable in my life, and whether or not it's God, or whether or not it's circumstance or karma or whatever it is, it doesn't really matter. But it's how you treat other people, and whether or not you judge them, even if you label them an atheist or a agnostic or whatever. Where the rubber meets the road is how you treat people.
That's me.
Ethan, you said? Yes. So, I mean...
Yeah, and I hate that word. Like, that's one of those words that's like, it's anyone who doesn't believe what I believe, therefore it must be this other. And I feel bad because oftentimes the accepting Christians, or the accepting of any religion, gets lumped in with the people that are way overboard and push it to the point of I can't think of of where they force others to have to believe it as well, and that comes from the religions, and most of the religions as well, not Buddhism, but many of the others that say what we believe is what you have to believe, or anyone else is wrong, and you therefore have to go save everyone else. Every religion except Buddhism pretty much says that.
Sounds like America.
That being said, not everyone falls into believing that. For example, I do not believe that it is my job to go out and proclamate anyone else's word,
or evangelize. You mean
to decide? Evangelize. Yep. Thank you. That's the word I was trying to think of. And I think that sometimes people in religions can get lumped into evangelical, even though they're not. And I want to let people know, like, no, this song, I don't think Ed's coming out against religious people in this song. I think he's coming out against evangelicalism.
Well, interestingly enough, Tracy, I had a friend, or I still do, really. I had a friend. I don't see him as often as I used to, but
thank you.
Yes, no, I had a friend I used to have quite deep conversations with, who was an evangelical Christian, and he explained it to me. He's like, well, you have to understand, I really believe this, and I really believe that you will go to hell if you don't, repent, or if you're not a member of my religion. So I care about you, and that's why I try and get you to believe. So I do actually empathize, and I do appreciate, like, these are people who really, you know, they are doing what they think is right. I have no ill will or hatred towards them, but you know, at the same time, I just want to be left alone to believe as I believe. I certainly am not going to try and convert anyone to absurdism. You know, that would be absurd.
If you believe in God, you have to understand that one of his greatest gifts that he has given us is the ability to choose. And he's going to judge everybody. If you believe in God, he's, you know, most religions say that there's going to be judgment. And that's a one-on-one thing. You're going to stand in front of him and you're going to talk about it and go from there. So it doesn't really have anything to do with other people like breathing down your neck or whatnot. It's your own journey. So believe in that, share it with yourself, and live your life accordingly.
Well, and I feel like the song is not an attack, because I do feel like Ed is basically saying it doesn't matter what you believe, whether you're Catholic or Protestant or Jewish or Buddhist or atheist or agnostic. Ultimately, we just have this one shot at life. And I think we've kind of talked about this. We have one shot. I've always said, as I've reached 44, I have one general rule that I live by. I don't care what you believe as long as you don't hurt another person because of those beliefs. And I think that's all and just make an effort. Like, anybody, regardless of what you believe, can make a conscious effort to be a good human being. And I think that's all it's saying. We're all entitled to believe what we want to believe. Just make it about today. Just make it about the decisions you make. Make your legacy what you do today, not what you're hoping is going to happen in the future, because you're not going to be able to tell anybody about that. Well, if you're right, if there's an afterlife, you don't get to tell anybody about that. So make it about today.
Well, and I think to kind of summarize this and then bring us into the discussion of what our numbers are, I think the wise poet and philosopher Weird Al said, "Look, if you had one shot to sit on your lazy butt and watch all the TV you ever wanted until your brain turned to mush, would you go for it or just let it slip?"
Yo, your motor's ready. Eyes wide, palms are sweaty. This is on the TV already. You gotta start the parody guy.
Well, parody guy, what's our ranking system tonight?
Well, it's obviously gonna be on Sisyphus.
I now gotta go write that.
Sisyphi, Sisyphuses.
Is it Sisyphi or Sisyphus? I like the way it sounds when you say Sisyphus, but
I spelled Sisyphus right the first time. Wow,
that's awesome, dude.
Good job.
Sisyphus. Now everyone has to say that right every time. Sisyphus.
Oh,
I'm a Sisyphusist.
Nope.
I'm a Sisyphusist.
I was gonna say, you expect the man that can't say asphyxiate.
I can't say amortization.
I'm sorry, what?
Amortization.
Exactly. I can't do it.
Mr. Butterworth.
Anti-disestablishmentarianism.
Nice. Mr. Butterworth, on a scale of 0 to 5 Sisyphuses, how do you rank this song? Sisyphi.
This one, I wanted to come on the podcast for a lot of the newer albums and newer songs, because I know that a lot of time they don't get as much love as I'm sure they get in the broader population, because there are definitely people who like them. I'm one of those people. So I wanted to come in on these, and I do cherry pick ones that I like. So my ratings are always fairly high, but even on the grand scheme of things, my low ratings for a B&L song is basically never below a 3, except for one song maybe. But this particular song, I liked it right from the first time that I heard it, because I was, atheist anthem. I like it. It's a song that speaks to me for, things that I feel. The whole what I've done for people will determine my worth. Like, that's how I've always felt. Like, I live my life to determine my worth by just living my life and trying to just do right by people. And that will determine my worth. I'm not subscribing to any other outward method of defining myself. And this whole song has always kind of kept along with me for that. And I always liked, the fuzzy, harsh tones of it, and even the distorted vocals and everything else. Then they came out with the Persuasions, and I liked that just as much, if not more. And so I figured this, I routinely look for this one. I routinely seek it out. It's on any BNL playlist, must playlist for me. So it's in the 4s. I think I'll give it a 4.3. It's probably higher as of today because today I learned about those final three quote marks verses that are hidden under the music. I only learned about them today, and so that technically probably bumped it up. But the whole time I always thought that outro's a little long, but other than that, like, I like it. But I think a 4.3.
Where can you find those extra verses, by the way? Because they're not any of the lyrics ones that I would.
No, I couldn't find them.
I couldn't find them.
They're in the liner notes.
See, this is the problem with this album is I bought it digitally.
Oh, I don't buy albums digitally. I hate albums.
So do I.
I like having a physical
It is
thing.
the only album.
So they're in there.
Digitally. Would you mind like sending me those lyrics?
I can definitely send you them because they're also on Reddit.
Would you mind reciting them for everybody right now?
I can recite
I would love to hear
them. Do you
them.
guys want to, if I can send them and I can recite them, I'm not.
Both.
This could change my rating right here. That's why I want to.
By the way, can someone please buy the domain IHateAlbumsDigitally.com?
Oh, let me find this Reddit post.
I absolutely hate digital
I don't know
albums,
if I can share
but
that.
was the only way I could find it at the time that this song came out, that this album came out, and then I was like, no, and even now I will go into used CD stores and try to buy it, and I cannot find it anywhere.
Every album drop day on any BNL album drop day, I've got to try and get to the store that day and pick it up. And if it's a work day, I pop it into the truck CD player at lunch and I sit in a parking lot and listen to it until I have to go back to work like that. So I need to get my physical copies because I like to.
And I want to say the reason I bought this online was because the only way you could get the deluxe version was to buy it online when you did it, and you got the extra 3 songs.
What are the extra 3 songs? I shouldn't do that. I can keep on with this.
Yes, let's go with that.
I don't need to know about
we'll
the
come
songs
back
now.
to the songs later.
So the way I found this, I was Googling to just try and figure out any additional meanings towards some of these verses because I'm lost. I'm lost on most metaphors. I get word pictures from the song, not so much direct meanings. So I was Googling about it, and I found a Reddit post that said, Keepin' It Real, secret last verse.
Oh.
And so the guy was just asking what it is. And a couple people responded. So there's, you can't build nothing if you haven't got trust. You're standing on steel and slowly watching it rust. There's no use fighting. No one's getting along. You can't just add sugar if the coffee's too strong. You dig a foundation, put it deep in the ground, then water and wind will come and blow it all down. Tie it all together so that you can make it float, then drop a piece of dynamite into the boat. They say we'd have wings if God had meant us to fly. He never gave us gills. Are we supposed to stay dry? If he had a hand in the original code, he hasn't paid attention since he made it explode.
Why could we not
you can hear it?
that?
It's at the very end.
You can hear it. If you read it, you can hear it.
I wish it was clear because that's
those are really great.
Those lines are fantastic.
So there's a few more kind of mic drops in there.
Yeah, like he's pretty strong on those lyrics in there. Wow.
Let me go over to Messenger here.
It could be the recording agency that's like
controversial.
Well,
maybe we have to back off a little bit. Yeah, that's.
And to answer your question, Eric, the 3 that did not make it on that were on the deluxe are Blacking Out, Fog of Writing, and Who Knew.
Who did know? I don't know.
Well, I've only
I thought Who was on first.
On the
podcast. Who Knew's way at the end.
In about 7 years, we'll get to it.
Who's next with ranking?
No, who was first?
Stefan, how do you rank this song?
Oh wow, that's awesome. I like the sound of it. It's rhythmic. It's just got a great bass line. It's great. It got a great sound. And I didn't really pay attention to lyrics. I'm not very much of a lyrical kind of paying attention guy. I can't understand half of what people say anyway. So I have to kind of read it. So I'm intrigued by what the lyrics said. I wouldn't have gone that was about death or afterlife or atheism or whatever of that nature from the whole thing. I thought it was more about like ignorance and just kind of something having to do with a relationship, which most songs are. But I suppose this is about a relationship between a man and God. And I really like this song because of the sound of it. It's just the lyrics sound great. The singing sounds great. The music is just great. I like that bluesy. Yeah, it's got it. Kind of, you can kind of bounce your head to it in a way. I like that sort of thing about
sonically pleasing.
Yeah, it's fairly solid. So I'm going to rank it. I'm going to rank it high, actually, because I could put this on my playlist, definitely. So 4.6 syphilis.
Whoa. Not syphilis.
I need to prescribe you 4.6 antibiotics after that.
I've got cream.
All right.
Cream ain't going to cure that.
I've been using Neosporin as toothpaste. I don't know if that helps.
It's better than using icy hot as toothpaste.
Yeah, or masturbation. Oh, never mind. I can't say that.
Yeah, you can say. We've said worse. That's for sure.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So anyway, Tracy,
tissue replacement.
Tracy, on a scale of 0 to 5 gonorrheas, how do you rate this?
I am struggling mightily with this song. It's so all over the place in terms of my ranking. It's not in terms of the song. I mean, it's very simple in terms of the song, but in terms of how I'm going to rank this, feeling wise, it's a very dark song in terms of feeling, a very angry song. I feel like the distortion in the deep notes and the deep sound that Ed brings in the background really makes me feel like, I don't know. I'm not an angry person. I don't listen to a lot of angry music other than Steve. And his is more depressed and self-loathing than anything, which is more me. I'm having a hard time with this one. I want to say I like this song better than Gonna Walk, but Gonna Walk is so happy and it makes me feel so happy. I have to put it in the 3 somewhere, and I'm going up and down the 3 scale. Like, no, I like it more than this. No, I like it less than that. No, I'm gonna have to put it equal with the other song that Ed wrote about the same kind of subject, a very religious subject. I'm gonna have to put it 3.9 with I Know.
All right. Well,
okay.
3.99. Sorry, let me correct that. 3.99 Sisyphuses.
3.99 Sisyphuses.
3.99 Sisyphuses with gonorrhea.
Is that like an asterisk? Are you going to come back to this on New Year's and maybe bump it into the 4s, Tracy?
He's totally coming back to this on New Year's.
Could I get 3.99 Sisyphuses and a side of gonorrhea, please?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Would you like to supersize those?
I hear an air fryer will fry anything.
Crabs on the side.
Oh.
To anybody just tuning in, this song is not about STI.
Really
although, actually, I believe it was from Neil Gaiman's Sandman. Life is an STD. It's spread through sex, and it always is terminal. Always ends in death.
There you go, Jeff. That's who we had
right now.
Well, speaking of quotes, Aaron.
Well, okay, so the entire song reminds me of "Do Not Go Gentle Into That Good Night" by Dylan Thomas.
Nice.
I had to throw one last one in.
No,
that's a fantastic poem.
Really
it's all about the same subject matter.
Yes.
I was originally thinking of 4.2. I like it quite a lot. The music's great. But between the wonderfully thought-provoking discussion this song has led to and the beautiful alternate version with the persuasions, I'm in lockstep with Erik here. I'm going to award Keepin' It Real 4.3 Sisyphi out of 5.
I feel like we haven't quoted one great philosopher in this song that kind of sums up what the song is about, and that would be the brilliant enigmatic philosopher of Kansas, who said, "All we are is dust in the wind." And I
thought that was Socrates.
What about
Socrates?
I guess we haven't quoted Eric Idle yet.
Always look on the bright side of life.
Always look on the bright side. No, I love this song too. I like what Erik said. It's kind of an atheist anthem, so I did appreciate that too when I first heard it. But in a sense, it is positive, and I do like it. It puts that spin on there too. References Horus. Sorry. No, but I do like that it puts the positive spin on it. I didn't take it as an angry song. I didn't take it as an attack. I took it as look. All we're trying to say is this: just live your life. Just do the good things and make that your legacy. At first, I think the musical part of it was my sticking point. I didn't know if I liked it as much as I listened more. Then the Persuasions version sold it for me. That version right there is probably the one I'm going to listen to the most from here on out. And also that additional 3 verses at the end, which I absolutely love.
I sent Tracy a link to them if anybody wants to.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, because I absolutely love those lyrics. The Dynamite in a Boat reference was amazing. So yeah, I gotta give this in on the higher end too, and just nudging it up a little bit because of the talk tonight. I'm gonna give it a 4.4.
Very nice.
Sisyphuses.
Nice.
That brings us to an
Stefan's the highest voter here.
Yeah.
Stefan's the highest, I'm the lowest.
Drinking the hater.
Imagine that.
I'm just hoping
Stefan's usually the top with you two, though, isn't he?
Go.
At least that's how I see it in my
on my screen. Tracy's on top.
In my cosplay that I write
I
about
like
the show.
Tracy on top.
I don't want to read this.
Oh, it's good.
Well, that brings us to
Aaron's almost always in a moose costume. It's weird, but I'll refine that.
That brings us to an average of 4.36. That's a really high rating, guys.
That was a good ranking
am
for
going
this
to make
song.
a prediction.
Yes.
Good job.
This might be.
I was going to say, does that put it to the top of the current Grinning Streak?
It has to. Yeah.
Oh, I think this is the highest rated post Steve song yet.
Okay, this is going to take me a minute, so give me one moment to formulate that.
Do you want to discuss Joseph Brown for a minute, Jeff?
Actually,
do I want to discuss Joseph
I heard he
Brown?
had 2 friends.
Stefan, do you want to discuss Joseph Brown since you didn't last week?
Who's Joseph Brown? Do I know him? Is he the new president?
Joseph R. Brown didn't. Oh, I thought he was the founder of Mormonism. No, that's Joseph.
Wait, where are my notes? What?
Okay.
Where are my notes for Joseph
He's a
Brown?
great guy. He's lived in my neighborhood for approximately 7 years. He's fantastic. I'll rate him 3.
Oh,
Right.
did I miss Joseph Brown?
I miss Joseph Brown.
No, you were talking. I just listened to it today.
Oh my gosh.
That's the one with the
go ahead.
That's the one with dropping trout.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Stefan missed the one about dropping trout.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
You were sorely missed on that one.
He also missed Just a Toy, too. He missed the song about dildos. I mean, come on.
Hold on, guys. Let me go and get mine. I'll make up for it here. Which ones do you want?
So to answer your question, Erik, yes, that is the highest ranking one on Grinning Streak so far.
Nice.
Doesn't that make you grin?
Matter of fact, it is the only one on Grinning Streak so far to break a 4.
That's good, right? How many have you ranked? Like 2? Is this the first one?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
Wow.
9. 9 off.
There's
Grinning
no
Streak.
way they could have that many songs on one album.
There's 12 on that album.
Plus
12,
plus the
12 is
extras.
pretty standard.
Wow.
That's
pretty amazing.
That's a normal length
Where have
album.
I been?
I don't know.
I can't even tell you the last time I buy an album.
Apparently not buying hard
Some of
copies
them
of
were
albums.
early, like Boomerang. Boomerang was a really early one.
I think Reagan was president.
So I do have some appearances for you guys this week. Eric, you sent me a link. Is that supposed to be an appearance?
Is that the Strombolopolis link?
Yes. Nice way of pronouncing that, by the way.
I don't know if it's supposed to be a... Oh, sorry, that George Strombo. He's a Canadian interviewer that was on the... I think he was just on CBC for ages and ages and ages. He left CBC in the last half decade, I want to say, and he's now doing hockey sportscasting, I think. But no, Strombo is great for interviewing, in my opinion. That's the other. If you can't say Strombolopolis, you say Strombo. But no, George Strombolopoulos had Ed on that one, and that was from another Reddit thing I had found, and just from the Reddit link, when I clicked it into YouTube, it queued me up to like the 6.5-ish minute mark, where it has Ed talking about his views on intelligent design or not, and his kind of religious outlooks.
Nice. That's excellent.
Which is just entertaining because he says that there's a clear lack of design because the pleasure centers are right beside the waist.
I do have two more that I want to throw in there for people to listen and watch. One is the Session X versions of the Persuasions concert. So you get to actually see them playing with the Persuasions on this song. So I'll have that in there.
I've got to depart.
You gotta go get some sleep, man.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yes, go get sleep.
Yes.
So you know what?
Tracy,
you know what though?
You know where I'll be.
Dude, go get some sleep, and I think you are totally the master of it. You've got this down tonight. You're the king of bedside manner.
There it is. There it is.
Absolutely. That's right.
If I were Rich Tracy,
right. You would know, Tracy.
We are taking on a big one next week.
A lot.
That is a giant.
Absolutely.
Aaron, you
We're
need to
getting
put
kinky
aside
now.
the whole week to break down the song.
By the way,
so he's definitely going to get the album.
Jeff, you wanted Aaron to get a complex.
By the way, Tracy, if I were a rich man, I would buy you a Segway.
Too late.
You mean like the transition from one thing to another, or actually the machine?
Yes.
I am calling it now, though. Who thinks that Aaron's absolutely going to guess what album this song is on? Oh yeah.
I'm very
100%.
curious.
You'll hear it and you will know it.
Yeah, you'll know it right away.
Okay.
There will be no doubts.
Guys.
Wow, Gwen Stefani.
Yeah, Gwen Stefani just breaks into the whole BAN and then anything, you know.
As a joke, I'm gonna send him the buck naked version. We'll see how he gets that.
Oh no.
All over my head at this point.
There's only one version of this.
Aaron, you've already heard this song once, way back when we covered.
Oh, okay.
Naked,
Okay.
So.
I don't really
Who's
remember.
the guest next week?
I think next week. Oh, I don't have that window open. I think next week we're back to Tyler, and then the week after that we're back to Eric.
No.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
we're
soon.
back to you for La 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 Lemon.
So how long before Tyler and Eric just become regulars? Like,
I'm down.
Pretty much.
Which one of you guys?
It goes from recurring to regular, I think.
Can't we
Which
bring
one of
them
you
both
guys
on
are
and
we
then
kicking
have
out?
That's
a
what
fight?
happened. That's what happened to me though, Eric. Though I just kept popping up until he wouldn't let me go.
Well, I gotta let go of one of you guys first because I can't have too many spaces on this.
Oh.
All right.
Have a good night.
Good night, guys.
Oh, there we go. Have a good night, Stefan.
Okay, call Tyler.
No, I fought for this spot. You can pry it out of my cold dead hands.
Thanks, that was fun. Don't forget, no regrets, except maybe one.
To celebrate joining Pantheon Podcasts, Rock Camp, the podcast, the official podcast of Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp, is giving away a guitar signed by Mike Portnoy of Dream Theater, Marty Friedman, formerly of Megadeth, and legendary shredder Zakk Wylde, plus our rockstar counselors like Vinny Appice, Monty Pittman, and more. To enter to win, simply follow, rate, and review our podcast on your preferred platform, and that's all you have to do. For more information, go to rockcamp.com/podcast.